Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Sorry for the wait. We were just waiting to go live and let everyone join our live streams and also our meetings. Good evening. Thank you for being here and spending your time with us today. I'm going to be giving you a small introduction on what we're doing today and what our end goal is. The reason we're hosting this conversation is simple. A lot of engineers in India are thinking about their future. And for many of us, that includes questions like, should I do a master's abroad? What country makes sense? And is it even realistic to get a job there in today's job market? What skills matter? And how do people actually fund their studies? What about visas, languages, long-term stability of these careers? And the biggest thing is there's a lot of information online. Either it's too generic, it's too salesy, it's always trying to sell you an admission, it's always trying to sell you a course, or it only shows the highlight reels of their lives or an admission in Europe. It rarely tells you what the journey really feels like step by step. So today is meant to be a practical, honest conversation, more real experiences. We're not here to sell, but rather encourage anyone with the idea of moving to Europe and attaining their dreams. The goal is clarity, to help you make better decisions for your own situation, using real examples from people who started in India and took different paths to end up in Europe. We have three speakers today, and what's valuable is that they didn't all follow the same route. They represent three different combinations of education, industry, and countries that they live in currently. So you'll hear multiple perspectives, not just one correct path. First, we have Mohammed Mustafa, who did a mechanical engineering from NIT Calicut and then moved to Sweden for a Master's of Science in Sustainable Energy Systems at Chalmers University of Technology in Gothenburg. He's currently working at Volvo as a test object verification leader within propulsion and energy engineering. So he can speak about transitioning from core mechanical into energy and automotive, and what Sweden is like for engineers, but also Indians who want to move there, and what it takes to enter a major European engineering company such as Volvo. Second, we have Faris Hamid Ali, who did a BTech in industrial engineering from Calicut Engineering of Trivandrum. Sorry, College of Engineering in Trivandrum, and then moved to Poland for an MA in International Business at SGH Warsaw School of Economics. He's currently a product owner of data and analytics at Procter& Gamble in Warsaw. His journey is useful for people who are exploring paths beyond traditional engineering roles like product, analytics, cross-functional roles, business, tech, and how you build credibility in that space. Thirdly, we have Mebsam Mohammed, who recently graduated as an architectural engineer from Politecnico di Torino and is currently pursuing a master's in management of the built environment at Politecnico di Milano. This is a great perspective for anyone interested in the built environment. So architecture, engineering, construction, real estate, sustainability, and the intersection of this all. And also for students thinking about the difference between a purely technical degree and a management-oriented degree for people who come from a technical aspect in Europe. So between the three, we cover Sweden, Italy, and Poland, automotive, FMCG, and built environment, technical engineering roles, product data roles, and both study and also early career decisions to help these three speakers get there. There's one more important piece we're adding today because a huge part of the Europe journey is deciding how to fund it. Before our conversation with the speakers, we'll have a dedicated segment on European scholarships, what's out there, and how to approach applications, common mistakes, how to improve your chances, led by Fatima Mahek Adam. And it will be interactive, meaning all your questions during the scholarship segment and during the podcast segment needs to be put into the chat, which we will be trying our best to have all the answers for at the end of our session. Now, just to set expectations, the session is not simply a perfect blueprint where you copy someone else's step and get the same outcome. Of course, your results are depending on where you want to reach and what dreams you want to follow. But what you can take away from today are the decision-making frameworks and the reality checks. So things like how did they shortlist universities and countries, what they wish they knew before applying, what helped them actually get interviews towards the careers they want to build, what the job search was like on the ground in Europe, how important language is in each country, what the lifestyle and work culture differences are, and what they would do if they had to start again today. A quick note before we go ahead. We'll try to keep it honest and practical. If something was difficult, we'll definitely try to talk about it. If something required luck or if it was simply a scenario where luck favored us, uh, we'll also break it down on why it worked and why it's useful to you and how you can follow a similar path. One small request to the audience, when you ask your questions in the chat, try to keep a context within it. So instead of a question like, how do I get a job in Europe? A better question would be, I'm a mechanical engineer with experience from this university, and I'm considering to work in Sweden or Germany. Should I do a master's there or apply directly to a job? Because the more context you give, the more useful the answers will be for you, but also for everyone who shares the same context as you. So let's now move on to the scholarship segment. Fatima, the floor's all yours.
Thank you so much. Am I audible and visible?
Yeah.
Perfect. So first of all, I will share my screen. Please let me know whether it's visible or not.
Yep, perfect. We can see your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. Myself, Fatima Mehek Adam. I have a background in international relations. So basically, I'm not from engineering background. Right now, I am pursuing Erasmus Mentis Noha Joint Master's degree in International Humanitarian Action. I just completed my first semester from University of Warsaw, Poland, and my second semester from University of Groningen, Netherlands. Right now, I'm based in Greece and I'm working with Local Roots, which is an organization for refugee protection, and I'm working for fundraising, communication, and advocacy. So here, let's look into like scholarship to study in Europe. But before that, I just want to know like why people are always choosing Europe. Because once I was just going through some data, I can see that there is a like around 80% increase in the number of people who are choosing to study in Europe from India itself. And once I was going through the data of 2020, I can see that around 90,000 students are right now studying in Europe, which clearly shows that Europe is in the trend. So why studying in Europe? Of course, as we all know that there is a lot of top ranking universities here in Europe, as well as comparing with India, we also have a very high quality of education here. And mostly in India, we're always following a kind of theoretical learning, but here it's more like a practical kind of space. Also, we have a very multicultural environment. Our fellow classmates as well as our professors are coming from different parts of world. For example, once I was doing my Erasmus first semester, there were students from 15 different countries. So just see the multicultural space that we have. You know, people speak different language and share different culture. And next comes the most important point, which is networking opportunities with industry experts. So here you get an opportunity to get in touch with people who are specialized in your field of interest, so you can actually use it for your professional advancement. And other than the studies, they also gives you a lot of opportunities such as international youth summits, summer school programs, field visits, etc. So once I was studying in Netherlands, I got an opportunity to visit International Criminal Court. So I think that this is one of the best option if you are studying here in Europe. And the next one is if you're getting a D-type student visa to study in Europe, you can also travel across various countries here in Europe. So yeah, that's also one of the best, one of the merit of studying here in Europe. So these are some of the perks of studying here in Europe, but there is also a big barrier for studying in Europe, which is the cost of studying, or the cost of studies is like very, very high. Oh my God, the tuition fees as well as also the other expenses are like very high. So here comes the importance of scholarships. So as you can see, there are different types of scholarships. First one is fully funded scholarship, which means that it covers your tuition fees, your living expense, as well as if you want to get a health insurance, travel insurance, or even your travel tickets, everything is like included here. And then comes the partially funded scholarship. So basically, it mainly covers 50% of your tuition fees, or maybe a 75% of your tuition fees, as well as they contribute towards your living expense. Then we have fee waiver, which means that they completely waives your tuition fees. And also you have stipends, which means it is contributed towards your living expense. Then we have government funded scholarships. This is one of the very common scholarship like category which we can see here in Europe. Then we have university specific scholarship, which is like mostly provided by almost all universities, and they also have different categories. For example, if you're so good at academics, they provide scholarships for those students. Then they have scholarships for people who are good with sports, other activities, even for people who are having some kind of disabilities, or even for differently abled people, they are also providing some kind of scholarships. And then we also have a private funded scholarships, NGO funded scholarships, also even faith based organizations are also providing some kind of scholarships. So there is wide varieties of scholarship opportunities. And okay, fine. So these are some of the most important documents that you should have while you're applying for a scholarship. So first of all, you should have a conditional or unconditional offer letter from one of the European university. This is really, really important. Then comes the academic transcript. If you're someone who is applying for bachelor's, you should have your higher secondary education mark list. And if you're applying for master's, of course, you should have your bachelor's transcript. Then you should have a CV, which should be in a Europass format. Then comes statement of purpose, which means that you should clearly show why you are eligible or why you should get the scholarship, or you should prove that you're so good at this particular field and your work experience, things like that. And then comes a proof of English proficiency, or in if you're planning to apply in France, Germany, or Spain, you should also prove that specific language proficiency. Then you should have a passport, proof of work experience, letter of recommendation, mostly academic as well as professional. Then additional essays or projects, as well as additional certifications other than your bachelor's or master's degree. So these are some of the general documents that you should have while you're applying for scholarships. Okay, cool. Now let's move into Erasmus Mentis. So this is what I'm doing right now. So Erasmus Mentis is one of the most prestigious scholarship program which is offered by European Union. The best part of Erasmus Mentis is that they have a feature called mobility, which means that you get an opportunity to study in various countries across Europe, like different universities across Europe, minimum 2 universities, maximum 4 universities. So already I studied in 3 different universities, one in Germany, one in Poland, and one in Netherlands. So I think I can just go to the official page so you can see more about this program. So this is what is called the Erasmus Mentis catalog. So here, as you can see, there is almost 209 master's and PhD program offered under Erasmus Mentis. And also there is around 19 different field of studies, starting from agriculture, arts, chemistry, economic science, education, environmental and geoscience, geography, history, engineering, IT, medicine, law, life science, literature, mathematics, political science, psychology, and yeah, many more. So if you want to know more about these, you can just go through the Erasmus Mentis catalog. And the best part of Erasmus Mentis is that you will get a joint master's, which means that once you're completing your master's, you're not just getting a mark list or a transcript from a single university. For me, it's like I will get a mark list from 8 different universities. So it adds more values to your degree. And then comes the scholarship. Like they're offering fully funded scholarship as well as partially funded scholarship. If you're getting a fully funded scholarship, then you don't want to pay any tuition fees. And also you get around 1,100 to 1,500 euro per month. And also you get travel allowance, airfare for traveling to Europe. And also you get opportunities to do internship, summer school programs. Also you can attend international summits, etc. So these are some of the best part of Erasmus Mundus scholarship. And then we have Germany. In Germany, yeah, this is one of the top scholarship and it is super, super competitive. It's called DAR EPO scholarship. So if you're someone who is so much into developmental studies, I think this is one of the best option for you. So this is a fully funded scholarship. So if you're so good with academics, as well as if you have a 2-year professional experience, then just go with this particular scholarship. It's amazing. Next one is Heinrich Böll Foundation Scholarship. This is for undergraduate, postgraduate, as well as PhDs like program. Here, if you're so good at academics, then you can go with this particular scholarship, but you should provide a proof of your German proficiency, at least B2 level German. Then we have Netherlands. Here, Netherlands, we have NL scholarship, which is provided by the government of Netherlands. Here, it is provided towards undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So this is not a fully funded scholarship. They just provide a 5,000 euro towards your first year of study. Then we have a university-specific scholarship, which is Maastricht University Scholarship. This is a fully funded as well as a partially funded scholarship. So based upon your academic excellence as well as extracurricular activities involvement, you get this scholarship. Then we have another university-specific scholarship, Rabon University Scholarship. So here, your total tuition fees will be reduced towards 2,601 euro. So if your tuition fees is 12,000 euro, then it will be reduced towards 2,601. And it is not a fully funded scholarship. And also you get some grant towards your visa, residence permit, as well as towards your health insurance and liability insurance. Then we have another university-specific scholarship in University of Twente, which is also a fully funded scholarship, but it also depends upon your academic excellence. So you should be so good at your academics. Next, we have France. This is one of the most competitive scholarship which is offered by French government. If you're someone who want to study in Sciences Po University, then this is one of the best option for you. So they provides a tuition grant towards your study. It's around 6,500 euro to 14,720 euro per year for UG students and 13,100 euro per year for PG students. Then we have another scholarship, which is France Excellence AFL Scholarship Program. Here, this is provided towards master's as well as doctoral programs. So they provide a tuition waiver as well as a monthly allowance of around 1,181 towards your tuition fees. Then we have Belgium. Here, there is Mastermind Scholarship. So if you're someone who is planning to study in Brussels or Flanders, then this is one of the best option for you. So this is also a kind of fully funded scholarship. So your total tuition fees is waived and also you get a particular grant towards your living expense. Then we have Denmark. This is the Danish government scholarship. Yeah, this is specifically for you people. This is for people who are planning to do a master's in engineering, specifically in the field of mechatronics, electronics, mechanical engineering, as well as robot systems. But the point is, you should have outstanding academic track. Okay, then we have Hungary. Yeah, this is also one of the super famous scholarship which is offered by the government of Hungary. This is for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. So here, this is a fully funded scholarship. They covers your tuition fees, and also it is they are contributing towards your living expense. Then we have Romania. So this is a university-specific scholarship. So if you're planning to study in Transylvania University, then you have a fully funded scholarship. So the complete tuition fees is already like taken away, and also you get a free accommodation in the university dormitory, as well as you get a monthly allowance of around 800 euro. Then we have Switzerland. Yeah, the beautiful place. So we have EPFL Excellent Scholarship, mostly for master's programs, but this is not a fully funded scholarship. Yeah, that's the problem with Switzerland. They're not providing any fully funded scholarships. They're just providing some kind of fee waivers as well as partially funded scholarships. So you can just go through it if you're so much interested to study in Swiss institutions. Then we have Italy. Yeah, this is also another university-specific scholarship. Someone who is interested to study in University of Milan, then you have University of Milan Excellence Scholarship. Basically, they are providing 60 scholarship, but this is not a fully funded scholarship. They're providing towards your living expense. It's like around 8,000 euro. Then we have another scholarship. This is also a university-specific scholarship. This is also not a fully funded scholarship, but it's a partially funded scholarship. You get around 6,500 euro. Then we have another university-specific scholarship, which is Parua International Excellence Scholarship. But this is a kind of fully funded scholarship because they completely waives your tuition fees and you get 8,000 euro per month. Then we have Austria. Yeah, this is one of the super famous scholarship, Austrian Development Corporation scholarship. So if you're someone who is interested to do tourism or hotel management, yeah, this is a fully funded scholarship offered by the Austrian government. Then we have Spain. Okay, so we have UIC Barcelona International Excellence Scholarship. So if you guys are planning to do a diploma course in tourism or hotel management, then you will get a 20% of exception from your tuition fees. And it's not a fully funded scholarship. Also, people who are interested to do audiovisual communication, journalism, advertising and public relations, business administration, law, architecture, or even a bioengineering, biomedicine, psychology education, you guys can also go with this one. Then we have another scholarship to study in Spain, which is Merit and Academic Excellence Scholarships, mainly to study in European University of Atlantic. This is kind of a scholarship based upon your academic excellence. If you have full mark, then you get 100% exemption from your tuition fees. If you have around 9 to 10 level, then you get 75% of exemption. If you have a 8 to 8.99 CGPA, then you get a 50% exemption from your tuition fees. And then comes Norway, the last one. BI Presidential Scholarships. So if you're someone who is so much interested to do a business studies, then of course you can go with this particular one. And this is not a fully funded scholarship. It's kind of a partially funded scholarship, but it covers your full tuition fees and gets like a kind of grant towards your living expense, but they're not covering your travel expense or anything like that. Okay, so the like there is a long list of scholarships, so I was not able to include every single scholarship detail. So if you want to know more about scholarships, you can just go through Scholarship Corner. I think this is one of the best website to get information about the various scholarships. Also, you have Scholarship Region, iSchool Connect, as well as Leap Scholar. And if you want to know more about any of the scholarship, specifically about Erasmus Mundus, I think you're free to connect me through my Instagram page or LinkedIn, whatever. And also feel free to ask any questions at the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatima. That was very informative, and I look forward to having the questions answered later as well. So let's begin with our conversation session. Let's start with Mohammed. How was your life leading up to the undergraduate in India, and how did the transition to Europe come about for you?
Hi. Okay, let's see. I did not have a pretty clear picture of what I was gonna do after high school. Even during 11th and 12th, I took biology because I did not want to close any doors. So I was that unclear. But like after 12th standard, I got interested. I was always passionate about cars and the automotive industry. So I took mechanical engineering, and my parents were pretty adamant on making me study in Kerala so that I could understand life. They did not want me to study anywhere outside of Kerala even, so I could not even think about doing my bachelor's abroad. 4 years of bachelor's in NIT Calicut, masters. The plan was to study in India. I was not very happy with the education at NIT Calicut. I don't know. It's my personal opinion, probably. So then I was like, if I'm going to do my master's in India, that was again engineering. I was 100% sure I wanted to do engineering itself. So it was either product design or automotive section. So for my masters, I wanted to do. I was willing to study in only like the top three IITs. I was like, if I'm gonna study in India to get the best education and opportunities after I attempted GATE, did not clear it enough to get the top three IITs. So then the options for studying abroad came up. And since it was automotive and energy side that I was looking into, I shortlisted the countries that were famous for this. So that was Germany and then Sweden with respect to sustainability and innovation. And then came the application process. They had like a 4 month window to apply for masters in Sweden. The advantage of applying to Sweden is you just have one application portal. So it's called universityadmissions.se. And you apply all your documents once, you pay one application fee, and you can select up to 4 courses and 4 universities. Other places, it's usually you need to apply to universities. Each university has an application fee, and you need to prepare the documents, get everything attested, and send it like 4 different times. For Sweden, it was just one application, and then you choose your priority. You want the first priority to be this, second to be this, third to be this, and then fourth university. And Alhamdulillah, I got admission at Chalmers University, and that was the pathway to beginning my master's in Sweden. So it was very unclear up until then. It was mostly winging it, going with the flow. Bachelor's in NIT Calicut, okay, finish, what next? Master's in India. GATE was competitive. I actually dropped a year. I was in Hyderabad Ace Academy because that is where it's the Pala and Brilliant and PC Thomas for GATE. Yeah, that was also there. So somehow I ended up in Sweden. That is the journey up until joining my masters.
I see. And was there any point in your time in India when you were doing your undergraduate where you had people to rely on for information for Europe, or was it a self-researched journey?
So the information for Europe, I did the research after I graduated because because I was not very clear about whether I wanted to do it or not during my bachelor's. I used to see my batchmates preparing for SATs and all the exams, GRE and stuff. So then it was more like a peer information that I got. I did not rely on any portal. So then people recommended, okay, they were going to study in Europe, they were going to US. And then it was more like what I understood was for each sector, like what your field is, you go to a certain place. So for computer science, everybody prefers the US because even though the investment is very high, your returns are also potentially very high. The cost of living, the tuition fees is high. You pay a very huge fees for 2 years, but you're able to make that back in a year or two. So it was like that. I did not have any dedicated source of information for applying to universities. It was most like peer reviewed. Like, okay, you applied to Germany. What do you need to do this? How do you fix this? And then where do you get the documents from? It was more like that.
Interesting. So now let's move on to Faris. We already see that there's a few fans of yours in the chat of your podcast. So was your journey similar to what Mohammed went through in his undergraduate, or was it different? How would you describe yours?
Yeah, I would feel that there are many similarities between me and Mohammed. So I would also like to reiterate that I wasn't an engineer by passion. It's more like the kind of stereotypes that you have after high school, that after 12th you got to do engineering. Engineering exam preparations. You go to PC Thomas, repeat. I didn't have to repeat in 12th standard. After 12th standard, I got an admission in College of Engineering, Trivandrum, as an industrial engineer. 4 years there. And again, reiterating what Mohammed said, I didn't feel much of a value from the education, what I got from my bachelor's. I would say mostly the experience that I got from CET is what's most valuable for me. The kind of exposure that I got, the kind of, um, for example, they have like a lot of center, there's this EDC where I got exposure to entrepreneurship, and there's all kind of different activities that really keep you involved. So I would feel that those kind of activities are uh, those that give you the highest value from a prestigious college like CET. And I would always also say that focusing on that aspects will give you much more value than the academics that are being taught. Because I feel that to some extent, the academics still being taught for BTech is kind of outdated. To be honest, I haven't used many of the concepts that I studied. Almost like 90% of the concepts, I don't feel like I've used it in a way after my graduation. So yeah, and after my graduation from CET, I was like, what's next? So I wanted to go abroad. I didn't do much of a research. I was like, yeah, trying to find places from watching YouTube videos, because we didn't have much folks who went abroad at that point of time. So my initial plan was to go to Germany, because Germany offers this public universities where they have this null tuition fees. And I felt that for engineers, that would be like a good destination. I applied there. I had kind of a good profile, like 7.6 CGPA, which would ensure an admission in Germany, at least for some universities. But apparently, I placed my trust in the wrong agency. And I wanted to go to Germany, but they, I mean, there were issues. They didn't do a good job, apparently. And I ended up in Poland. And at that point of time, Poland was not an attractive option for me, because at that point of time, it's more like Poland was an underdog when it comes to European countries. But at that point of time, I was like 1 year. There was 1 year after graduation. I hadn't done anything valuable with my life, and I was like, I had no other option. If I wanted to travel abroad, then Poland was the option for me, because that's where the agency took admission for me. So again, this international business was I wanted to shift towards management as well. So international business was a good course for me. So I got admission into one of the prestigious institutions in Warsaw. That's SGH Warsaw School of Economics. And yeah, it's been going great so far. So I had, meaning I was actually kind of reluctant to tell everyone about Poland, because in everyone's mind, like usually people go to Germany, Sweden, France. That were the more attractive options. So Poland wasn't that attractive. So initially I was kind of skeptical about that, but after reaching here I realized Poland is not what people used to talk about. Yeah. Meaning the kind of opportunities that are here, I feel that when considering different European countries, Poland gives you the opportunity to work full time while doing your masters or bachelors, and that's a major advantage that I see here in Poland. I was doing two full-time jobs when I was doing my masters. It was during the COVID time, so studies were online. So I had the opportunity to work full-time. And usually, the challenge after doing masters and to settle abroad is to get a full-time job and to get a resident status after your work. I mean, after your studies. So having a full-time job while I was doing my masters enabled me to continue my residence permit without any issues. And that's kind of the similar story that you'll see for most of the students in Poland, that you actually have the opportunity to work full-time while you're doing your studies. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, that's a brief picture about my journey.
Yeah, for those listening, Poland has one of the fastest growing GDPs in Europe right now,
It's the
and
sixth, actually, I think.
yeah, and its growth is incomparable across the other countries, and their focus on their industries as well as developing their own economies is simply staggering, and something that we all study in our own economic courses as well right now. But I want to focus before we move on to Mebzem. Both Mohammed and Faris, you both mentioned that you weren't so satisfied with the education you were getting within your undergraduate. Was that something you realized when you were studying there, or was that something you realized when you moved away and you realized, oh, there's so much more to this engineering thing that we're studying? Oh, what was the case for you, Mohammed?
I can start. For me, it was during the college itself. Within the first semester, I understood. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was like it could be, that I was getting access to a lot more freedom than I was used to, and then I, just utilized that opportunity to, spend time traveling and all that stuff. But something that I noticed in me was I was a very passionate tech guy while I was in school. I loved tech. I used to watch all reviews about cars, motorcycles, the engineer, how things work. I was always passionate. And I had this fire, I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This I think one semester into college, I lost it. I lost the interest in engineering completely. I was like, I am done. I don't want to do engineering anymore. So 6 months, it could be because my peers were exceptional. The NIT Calicut, the people who are studying with me were exceptional. They would not need to put in so much effort to get marks. And then I lost my motivation when I saw my first semester, GPA. I was like, this is not gonna work. So it could be that, then it went like downhill, downhill, downhill from there. I was like, I lost my interest in engineering completely. It could be because I also did not see any passion in the teachers who were teaching it. It's a government job, right? For the professors. They just they do what they do. It's a safe and secure job. They do what they need to do to get by. But I did not find anything so exciting about it. It was not exciting for me. So throughout my bachelor's, I felt that and I thought it was going to be like that. During my GATE preparation is when I actually sat and studied myself. I did 4 years of engineering in 1 year. And that is where I studied the basics and fun. And there I loved it again. I loved engineering again. So that's when I was like, okay, I did not know what I had missed out during that. And then coming to Sweden changed it completely. I understood how bad, my bachelor's was. Because after coming to Sweden is where I realized how much I loved studying. Like I loved it. I enjoyed studying. I loved going for classes. I loved working on group projects. Literally, that's how I would say it. So that's where I'm able to compare to how bad my bachelor's was. Until then, I thought it was just me. I was not interested. It's my issue. My peers was seeming to be thriving. And then by GATE, I changed. That changed. The professors made a big difference. Like in ACE Academy in Hyderabad, beautiful. Like the way they explained concepts, and it makes a big difference, right? So that's when I realized it was not just me; it was also the environment I was in. So that is where the whole okay, I want to try studying abroad kind of thing came into place. So that's why I was not willing to study in any other NIT.
I
I was like,
see.
okay. But the most valuable thing about NIT that I got was my peers. Like exceptional students around me, which forced me to be a better version of myself in that regard, to keep up. And my network is amazing. I have people all around the world, doing amazing stuff. That is one of going into a prestigious in university gives you that access. It gives you access to peers who are exceptional as well. And I would say that's the most valuable thing I got from my bachelor's. You are put in situations where you are uncomfortable and it makes you grow. Hosting events, organizing, Ragam Tatwa. We have fests biggest fests in South India and stuff. And then
Yeah.
that was the most valuable thing I got from my bachelor's.
Faris, something you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I don't have much of an engineering experience after my graduation. I'm someone who left engineering after 2019. But what I felt was that it was the same thing that we learned, even my seniors, even when my sister was studying. It was like the pretty much the same syllabus, the same labs. I don't feel like we are up to date with the latest technologies, even considering CTs, like the biggest, I mean, the best engineering institute of Kerala. And yeah, I felt that somewhere we are not keeping up with the latest trends. That's what I felt about that.
Interesting. So let's move on to Mebzum. You're quite different to Faris and Mohammed in this aspect. You did your undergraduate in Italy right after high school. We actually studied in the same high school for those who are listening. How was your experience for undergraduate and listening to Faris and Mohammed explain about their experience in undergraduate? How do you contrast that to yours?
Okay, so I think mine would be different, like you said, because we did our high school in Saudi as well. So we didn't really have this experience of studying in India. So I think that contributed to me, looking to study outside of, India right from the undergrad, because we've been used to this NRI type of life throughout our high school. So for me, I had taken up science in grade 11 and 12, physics, chemistry, math, and I wasn't sure what I wanted. Like I wasn't sure to go just into engineering. My interest was construction, anything related to construction. But then again, I was on the crossroad of whether to take, just architecture or to go into civil engineering. So that's when I found out about, just a minute, about this program in Italy, which was Bachelor's in Architectural Engineering. And it was 3 years and not five like India. And you get this mix of architecture and civil engineering. Now, the biggest contributor of me, looking into Italy would be my mom. She did her master's in a diploma type of master's in 2010 in interior design here in Milan. So she had a very solid, understanding and knowledge about education here in Italy. So I started researching in grade 11, found out about two universities in Italy, which had a bachelor's in English, which was in Politecnico di Torino and Politecnico di Milano. So I looked into it, found out that you needed to pass an entrance exam because, high school education here in Europe is 13 years. For us, it's 12. So in order to bridge that, especially for engineering, you need to take their entrance exam, be in the top 85 in the country to get in. So Alhamdulillah, I was able to get into Politecnico di Torino. I couldn't get into Milano back then because it was much more competitive. And during my bachelor's here, I would say the biggest thing is the international exposure you have. In my class, I had students from 85 different countries, which was insane to me at the time. Like every friend I had was from a different country. So it was a United Nations meeting whenever we had, we were talking with friends. And also because all of the people who were in my class, wrote the entrance exam and came in, they were all the best architects, you could say, from each country. So the level of competition and seeing how good they were, pushes yourself to do better. But somewhere along my bachelor's, I found out that, code design was not my thing. I was better at the technical and the financial aspects, which made me look into this master's that I'm doing right now, which is the management of the built environment. It focuses on real estate finance, construction engineering, more on the financial and the technical aspects of construction and engineering. So during my second year, I decided to, what do you say, curate my portfolio towards this. So I did my internship in Jeddah at Hossam Abdul Karim as a construction manager. And that further, emphasized or made me sure that that is what I wanted to do, like the financial and the managerial side of construction. So Alhamdulillah, I applied for masters. I graduated this September and I started my masters here in Politecnico di Milano. So far, it's been amazing. Transitioning from pure engineering or architecture towards this has so far been good. And yeah, that's my experience, I would say.
Oh, congrats on graduating as well. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you have an amazing time in Milan, which I've had the experience of visiting. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful city,
It's
but
more
also,
expensive, but it's nice.
yeah, but it's also surprisingly a lot of Saudis who visit there.
Surprisingly, yes, an
Yes,
insane amount of Saudis in the summer. Like if you go to the center, you would be surprised by the amount of Khalijis, like Saudis, Qataris there.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, my next question goes to Faris actually, because in moving from something like an engineering role in CET and then towards data and analytics in as your end goal, when you transitioned into that, how did you prove that you can do this sort of data and analytics work without a traditional either CS background or something that was technical in your master's?
Yeah. So I was still, after my master's, I was still in that exploring phase. So I realized that engineering isn't what I wanted to do. So it's like you gotta try maximum available opportunities. So the first job that I took up was as a product assurance associate in Amazon, and in parallel, I was also a customer service associate in Testronic, which is like a famous game testing company here. So I tried those two roles. Then again, that didn't give me much. It didn't spark much of my interest. Then came another opportunity in Nielsen IQ. So the reason that I'm mentioning different fields is that I think Poland is the only country that gives you this certain amount of flexibility. Maybe Mebzab and Mohammed, you can correct me. If you study in Sweden or Germany, you gotta continue in the field that you study in. If you take up engineering, you can only work as an engineer to continue your residence permit, right, Mohammed?
It's changed. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's changed over the years. Generally, what happens is that, but I have seen some exceptions where people do it, but it's very tricky. Because after studies, your work permit is related to your two things: occupation and employer. So the first work permit, that during your studies you can work whatever you want. Like it's the same
Mhm.
situation as Faris said in Poland. You don't have a limit of how many hours you can work. So you can work multiple jobs. You can work full time while studying full time. But after your graduation, you have a job seeker visa for 1 year. And then after that, your work permit is linked to both your employer and your occupation. So the first 2 year permit that you get is, suppose you are an engineer, you can work as an engineer for this employer. If you want to work for somebody else, you need to start a new permit with that employer and stuff. So it's not easy to switch occupation. Yeah. So
But
it's
it's
generally,
possible. But for
it is
example,
possible.
an
Yeah, I
engineer who graduated can work in finance.
can work as a taxi driver.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's something I was also not aware of, but I am finding out now when I hear like some of my, because Uber and all pays quite a lot of money.
Okay.
So there are some friends who finished their masters and they are driving Uber full time because they love driving and they're still figuring it out kind of thing.
Okay.
So
Because
and
I
they are on a work
Mhm.
permit for becoming a taxi driver. So they have a work permit for taxi driving for 2 years. But
Okay.
now they cannot work in anything else until they apply for a new job and a new visa has to be processed and stuff.
Okay.
So Germany is like what you said.
Yes,
Germany is
yes.
exactly like you can, if you studied there, you can only work there in that profession. That's what
Yeah.
I know as well. I don't know if it's changed or anything, but that
So
is
the
the
reason I
information I have.
mentioned was there were a couple of my friends who wanted to go to Germany since they offer a free tuition fees. They just go for, I mean, usually students go for any engineering fields that they get in the hope of studying for free and studying in Germany. But the problem arises when, for example, you study optics and then you cannot switch to a different engineering field, and to continue your career after you do your master, that's where the challenge will be. So in that regards, in Poland, that gave me the flexibility to explore different career opportunities. So my third job was an insight analyst in Nielsen IQ, and previously I didn't have experience to analytics. And when I was asking the interviewer how should I be best prepared, they told me that for working as an analyst, either you are an analyst or you are not an analyst. Like something, it's not like something that you can build skills upon, although that is subjective. So I managed to crack that interview, and I felt it really interesting working with numbers, getting insights and stuff. So I worked in as an insight analyst in Nielsen IQ, and my client was Procter and Gamble. So those of you who don't know Procter and Gamble, maybe when I mention the brand names, will be more familiar, like Pampers, Gillette, Head and Shoulders. So that's all manufactured by Procter and Gamble. Then I got an opportunity to work as, I got an offer letter from Procter and Gamble. Again, it was all based on interviews. So I feel that primarily what companies look for in Poland, yeah, I can only speak for Poland, that communication is the key. If they feel that you can ideally convey an information properly. See, the thing is, when working in Europe, um, there is, to an extent, you need the local language. But as foreigners, learning the local language is going to be really difficult. It is challenging. It is possible, but it's really challenging. So if the only language that we can use out here that we are really confident with is English. So even if your English is broken and your local language is broken, then you don't stand a chance. So I think communication is the first and foremost skill that everyone should focus on. And communication is something that we can really develop. It's not something that I studied in Kerala in government schools. I don't have communication experience in English. There's no way I can build. It's not like that. Communication can be built. So I think that's the first and foremost skill that you need to develop on, and keep exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a,
It's yeah.
sorry,
It's
please go ahead.
No, it's basically the soft skills that matter the most. In That's my experience as well with respect to job hunting. You might have a bunch of fancy degrees, but if you want to get a job, you need the soft skills. That's basically how your composure, how confident you are in your answering, how articulate you are, like Faris said, your communication skills, and your willingness to learn. If you have these soft skills is where you crack interviews and you get jobs. At least that's what I've seen in Europe. Because for the jobs I've applied to, nobody has asked to see my transcripts. They don't care how much marks I got in solid mechanics. They don't care that.
Exactly.
You see, yeah. So it's more like, how do you present yourself and how's your willingness to learn? How quickly are you able to pick up stuff? That's more valuable across industries. So far, hundreds of jobs I've applied to, nobody has asked me my marks. Nobody has asked me for my GPA. It's
Same here.
basically, have I worked on something that is interesting to them? How did I solve problems and challenges that came to me? And that in that kind of a way, they see the challenges us as international students have to face, moving to a completely new country, adjusting to cultures, learning a new language, staying away from friends and family. So those actually develop you as a person so much more. So I feel like that is quite valuable to the employers, because they see that you are someone who has overcome so many challenges to be here, and they know how much you want to be here. So just bouncing off what Faris said.
Indeed. The follow-up question that I would have to this is to Mebzum. Would you say that in today's environment of studying for your postgraduate, is this something that you work on with your professors concretely, or is this something that you have to work on your own time or through internships, talking with people? Especially for your case where you're heading towards real estate and finance and management in the sector that you're interested in, how often are these soft skills talked about in your classes?
So like Faris said, and even in Italy, like say in general, language plays an important role. Like if you don't know the Italian language, getting a job is very difficult if it's not in the main cities like Milan or Rome. Milan, thankfully, has like 30% of foreign population. So here, English works by, even if you know just English, you can get a job. Now, talking about what you asked, my master's in specific, it's way more hands-on. For example, we have a course called Real Estate Valuation, which is fully hands-on. The entire course did not have an exam. The the course was graded based on this project we carried out throughout the semester that was evaluating a building, seeing the condition it is in, evaluating how many, new apartments you could built into it. So all of this was hands-on. We had to go to the office in Milan. We worked with the professors throughout the semester. And again, here, like, both of them said, the way you communicate towards the client, that is the real estate client, plays an important role. Like, can you sell the idea of transforming this office building into a residential building? And can you convince him to do that? Matters way more than, everything else you've learned. So I would say that the master's I'm doing now is much more practical and much more hands-on than my bachelor's. Bachelor's was mainly theoretical. We had a few studios here and there, but I don't think I'm going to use most of that now. But whatever I've done this semester so far, I think would be very useful for me. Uh, but yeah, that's my take on it.
Um, so I had a question that was in my mind about today's job market, and the big question that everyone's worried about is AI, right? So we have people you've never talked about uncles and aunts calling you and asking you if AI is going to take our jobs. The question for you, Faris, is as a person who's moved into a more technical role from your management postgraduate, how often is agents such as, I don't know, Cloud Code or these LLMs affecting your job? Or is it something that people don't see as a threat? And also, how technical does your job require to be?
So I personally don't think that anyone should fear AI taking over your jobs. It's more like you need to be adaptable. So, for example, if you look at, I believe Excel came somewhere between 1980s, 1990s. See, those who built Excel, we don't know the engineers, we don't remember the engineers who built it or something. But those who leveraged Excel have used it to grow. So all the accountants, managers, everyone, everyone who use Excel, they've leveraged that tool to build their careers, and that has skyrocketed. So similarly, I believe those who leverage AI to enhance their productivity, they will be the winners going forward. So you should always think in an AI way. How can we use AI to enhance our productivity? How can we use AI to do the task that we're doing now to enhance it to the next level? Keep thinking it, because AI is not going anywhere. It's just going to develop. So since ChatGPT was announced, we see it's the new features are coming up. It's just getting better and better day by day. So we must realize that AI is here to stay, and understand how to best leverage it to maximize your output.
I see. And in your job at Volvo, how often do you see it, Mohammed, people using AI?
It's getting rolling out slowly because we have a lot of confidential data that we cannot have mixed with this thing, so we're not able to implement it directly, but it's a tool ultimately. So people who know to learn to use the tools will have a job. It's more like that, right? So how do you say it? When cars came, horse drivers were afraid, what would happen, but people who were able to drive cars kept their jobs. Now we have self-driving cars coming up, so the role of a driver is going to transition to something else. It's like when planes came, autopilot came in, but did pilots lose their job? No. But when self-driving planes completely come, pilots profession will becomes more like an air traffic something, to control this thing, avoid hallucinations and all that. So with AI, I am very much looking forward to it because I'm seeing the tech growth, robotics, physical AI is going to come over soon. It's already in the prototypes, but it's gonna take a while before we can rely on it. Like 100%. Like A to B means A to B, not going around like this and then finally ending up there. At Volvo, we are using it slowly for certain stuff. Like you Copilot, for example. Now, if you activate it, I don't have to go searching for documents in my Teams. I just say, hey, what was my last conversation with this person? Where can I? So that saved me a lot of time, and that time I spend on doing something else instead. At work itself, which is increasing productivity as a whole. But that being said, in the future, there are certain kind of roles that are going to be obsolete. There's no doubt about it. That's how history shows us. Drivers won't exist when self-driving cars come. So it's more like anything that takes an input. You have something as an input, you apply some rules and logic on it, and you give an output. Those kind of tasks will be, can be automated. That's what software engineers have been doing so far. They automate their flows. The testing is so it's you need to adapt. That's where it is anywhere you go. You even as an engineer, you learn one software, a new software comes up. People who learn that knowledge will be able to apply it. So you need to constantly keep learning, irrespective of what field you are in, is what I think. So people who don't learn how to use AI, it's gonna be a little bit difficult for them.
I agree with what both of you say. Using it to leverage your productivity is the most important tool within AI. And my question to Mebzem would be, do you see an implementation of AI in your industry, and how will that look like?
Okay, so I would answer this from two perspectives. since my bachelor's was architecture, we had a lot of design studios, and the implementation of AI for architecture was insane and immense even last year. Because, architecture as a field is extremely time consuming. Drawing the plans, keep on evolving it according to the, client's needs takes a lot of time. Now, the amount of time that it takes to produce a plan now with, say, Gemini from Google is a fraction. Like, you can create architectural diagrams, plans with insane accuracy within minutes in Gemini. So a lot of architects, with me were complaining that, it's gonna take away our jobs. But my friends who leveraged it to, create this optimal flow of using the softwares plus AI were able to produce insane results. Like, even the professor couldn't believe that, he produced that in one semester. So if you leverage it correctly, especially in the architecture field, I see immense potential. Like both of them said, existing jobs or existing workflows will become obsolete. But if you adapt and you optimize your workflow with AI, you can be a better architect, for in that example. So talking from my master's perspective, since it's, way less design, it's way more technical. ChatGPT is amazing at creating financial models, but then again, it hallucinates every now and then. So if you have the base, if you know how that model works, you can use ChatGPT to give you a base and, optimize it and automate it and to get a final financial model much quicker. So at the end of the day, I think it's all about how you adapt and how you learn to use these new AI tools to, what do you say, optimize your workflow better. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, as students, we're also it actually comes back to bite us as well when you've actually worked on the project and then your professor sends you an email saying, "Oh, it flagged as a plagiarized essay."
Yeah,
So
that's
it can bite you back as well when you've actually put in the work when it flags it as AI. Um, the next area that I want to talk about is sustainability within your careers in Europe, because if you look at the other West part, we were hearing stories of H-1B visas being canceled, and a lot of people in Silicon Valley from India having not being able to renew their visas and continue in the US. Is this something, the immigration policies of Europe currently, something that you're considering within your long-term sustainability? Faris, how do you see it?
So, talking it from a Europe perspective, I don't feel there's any sort of risk because lately, like, we haven't seen anyone from our friend circle, anyone having an issue related to their careers being laid off, etc. But it actually depends on your company. So rather, from a European perspective, you got to approach it from your company. If your company is stable, um, good financial, so yeah, these are the due diligence you got to do. But of course, you won't always have the opportunity to consider wide. Like, suppose you get an offer letter, you probably just have one offer letter, so you just go with whatever offer letter you get. Yeah, but the best thing is to do your due diligence, how that specific sector, that specific company will perform for the long term. Probably analyze their financials, where they're standing. That would give more stability. And considering the role, I'm more of a product owner, so looking at AI, whether that would be a risk for my specific role, I would say that as a product owner, I have to make decisions, and company relies on human decisions. AI's judgment is more of objective. It can analyze the facts and figures and give an objective judgment. That's not exactly what the companies are looking for. They need a human person to make subjective decisions. Uh, the morality is also subjective for humans, whereas for AI it's not. So those kind of roles will always stay. So that's what I feel about the sustainability of my role and career going forward.
What about you, Mohammed?
I can answer that a little bit better because my personal experience being in the engineering industry, especially the automotive industry. So this job security and layoffs and stuff is more relevant in certain industries, specifically where the country's GDP is dependent on the income, the money that is made from these cars. For example, you can take Germany and the automotive industry, the mafia, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, all these companies. The German government makes their policies that, are beneficial to their homegrown brands. So competition from abroad, can affect this. China is now building amazing electric cars, and that is a direct competition to these legacy automakers. That is where you see a shift in the automotive industry, where people know that you are able to get more for less money in China because they have been working silently for so long. Their cars are amazing. The technology is amazing. So that, I don't know if you have read the automotive industry last year, massive layoffs. Porsche was down by 100% profits. Their profits were down 99% last year. I think it was like from 400 billion to 4 billion. Like that's how they closed the year. Volkswagen, 5,000 layoffs. Volvo Cars, 3,000 layoffs. In general, Rivian, Tesla, all these companies had layoffs and stuff. So it's very if and you never know. It can happen anytime to any company. As a matter of fact, I was working at a startup before I joined Volvo Cars, and I was laid off as a part of the redundancy process. Then the question comes of you being an immigrant technically, because you are leaving everything, moving to a new country. You lose your job, you have 3 months to find another job. If you don't find another job in 3 months, you have to leave. These are the stuff that you kind of need to be prepared for. Nobody tells you, when you move abroad, this could happen, and stuff like that. And then, alhamdulillah, 2 months later is when I got a job at Volvo Cars. I had 1 month left on my visa, and I got the job at Volvo Cars. And then again, last year, when the whole layoffs thing came, 3,000 people, I was again, of course, this could happen again. And then I have again 3 months left to find another job. These are the challenges of, and a lot of my friends had to leave the country because they were not able to find a job after 3 months, which is the reality. I don't want to say that it is all, flowers, rainbows, and butterflies on this side. The reality is you need to be prepared for a lot of unforeseen things. So coming to Europe, my goal was to have a world-class education. So that's what I would say as well to people who are planning to come to Europe. Like, focus on what you know you will learn. So 2 years of your education, that's the time you're going to spend in a foreign country, or 1 year. You learn something new. You learn exactly what you came for. After that, everything is, you never know. You might be able to get a good job somewhere not. You might have to take a gap and stuff like that. So that is basically where I see the industry. The market is pretty bad right now, honestly. Being very honest and frank here. Last year, me personally, I applied for 100+ jobs because I was, concerned about. I called Faris and asked if I could get any referral in PNG. But 100 jobs, yeah. I had interviews. I had like 10 interviews out of 100 jobs. I did not get a single offer in Sweden. And that is me with 4.5 years of experience in electric vehicle, electromobility. I speak the language. I have a Swedish driving license. All that was good, and it was not possible for me to get a job because the industry was bad. I don't blame anyone for that. Scania was laying off people. Where do you jump to where people are being downsized? So you need to be prepared for all that wherever you are. Just come, learn, work, gain experience, and then go with the flow. So
Yeah.
the industry is also very dynamic.
Interesting. I'm sure it helps a lot of people to plan their future who are listening. Mabza, my question to you is because you on the opposite side are still a student, you're still, about to get into your career phase where you're starting. What do you think are the most important skills in order to land a job in Italy? Have you talked to your seniors about who have landed a job? And how important do you think internships are, and how easy is it to land them in Italy?
Okay, so at least in the Italian market, to land a job, language, like we all know, is a major factor. If you know the language, you are better positioned than 90% of the international students here. So taking that aside, I would say internships are the thing that makes or breaks your chance of getting a full-time position. Because here in Italy, almost everyone who does an internship, 80% of them end up with a full-time offer because Italian employers, they prefer to just keep the person who they've trained for like 6 months and just give them a full-time offer rather than taking someone, completely random into the company. So the internship that you land in during the time that you study, I would say is a very important factor. Uh, Soft skills such as certifications play a big role. For example, the industry I'm in right now, it's real estate finance and construction engineering. So if you have a certification like CFA level 1, it adds an insane amount of value to your CV. So from the seniors that I've talked to, those with the CFA level 1 were able to land jobs much easily because the employers know you did the extra effort. You went above the classroom and you have a solid financial background. So extra certifications, internships, summer programs, all of this, I would say, uh, adds, immense value in you eventually landing a job. Also, the way Mohammed said, the job market in Europe right now, on the whole, is not the best. It's on the negative side, and especially in the construction sector. In Italy, there's not a lot of construction going. Let's just be honest. Everything in Italy has been built 1,000 years ago. Every apartment is built. There's not a lot of expansion going on. So construction in itself is kind of bleak. And with AI coming in and increasing the productivity of architects and civil engineers, there have been massive layoffs. But that doesn't mean you can't get a job. If you upskill yourself, getting new certifications, learning more than what you have in the classrooms, I think it will be possible to get a job. That's my outlook on it.
Yeah. Faris, I wanted to ask you something about within organization sustainability of your career. How often do you see nowadays of people being promoted or having a scope for growth within the organization? Or are you seeing more people look between organization of moving between organizations for a promotion?
Um, so looking at it from my company standpoint, like mainly I worked in IT in Procter and Gamble. Uh, so there are like a lot of opportunities that come up with all the recent technological advancements that we have, mainly for data engineers, analysts, Power BI engineers, etc. So there's a lot of um, I don't know what is the right way to say it. Um, Mainly, uh, yeah, getting a promotion wouldn't be that difficult if so it's mostly based on impact plans. So we have this impact plan where you deliver the where you talk with the managers, set certain goals that we need to deliver for that fiscal year. You keep achieving that, and you promise the company that your skills are most valuable for the company. You can give most value to it, achieving all your goals. That would enable you for more promotions going forward. So it's actually depending on your skills. You need to do, like, currently with all the dynamic shifts that are happening in the industry, you need to be very up to date with all the trends that are going on. Have that kind of curiosity, and it wouldn't be an issue.
Something I see nowadays is the importance of LinkedIn. And honestly, I find it quite hard to find that people naturally speak that way, people naturally talk that way. People post about what they found so interesting on their morning walks and runs on LinkedIn. But the role of LinkedIn is increasing in our careers nowadays. Mohammed, do you find that LinkedIn is still a reliable source for finding a job nowadays, or is it mainly through connections that people do land a job?
I would say it's the most relevant thing from what I've seen. Having a good LinkedIn profile and activity on it helps you find a job. I know so many of my friends who got jobs through LinkedIn, not just because of applying to jobs, but because of making themselves visible. They read something, they post about it, they write something. We might think of it as cringe. Okay, just saying, I am delighted to announce that I have done this. And you see a lot of that post, it makes you question your choices in life. But it's not cringe if it works. If you do a lot of things and then it helps you, pay the bills and stuff, it's not really cringe anymore. It's so I'd say it works. I know a friend of mine who did not have the greatest academics. I'm being honest. Bachelor's, masters, everything. Job hunting did not work. He started posting on LinkedIn consistently. Every day he started posting something. And then through that, he became interested in it as well. Because he was chat GPT supported posts and stuff. For me reading it, I was not very keen. But over time, I felt more and more interested in it. And then people started reaching out to him because he ended up becoming a specialist on that subject because he posted on it so much.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn definitely have an updated CV, updated profile, activities, do whatever, like whatever little thing you do, you post so that no matter how private you want to be, this is the kind of things that helps you in your career. I attended a conference 2 weeks ago. This is the stuff that I found interesting. Done. 20 likes, 30 likes, 30 people saw it. Their people saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this person might be a good fit for our company.
Yeah.
Very important.
So before we move on to the end, Mebsam, I wanted to ask you because you're quite still in your studying phase. What is the biggest skill that you would say a student from India or an Indian background would need to survive in Europe or excel in Europe or stand out in Europe?
In what sense do you mean? Like any skill or anything
Well,
that?
it can be, for example, I personally know many people that are extremely talented in coding, for example. They can
Mhm.
build databases and projects that work from zero to
Mhm.
a deliverable in 2 days, but they find it hard to communicate, as we talked
Mhm.
about earlier.
Yeah.
Would you say communication is still the biggest key, or is there something that people aren't looking forward to show within them that helps them in Europe? Is there a skill like that?
I would say it is communication by far, because if you have the skill and you're not able to convey it properly to, beat the employer, beat anyone, you are at a disadvantage. But other than communication, I would say the biggest skill would be to do the extra mile, to go outside of the box. So I have a few friends in computer science engineering, who graduated. 17 of them couldn't find a job. But there was one friend who applied to 35 hackathons in his bachelor's and he won like 15 of them. And just because he, took part in those hackathons and won so many of them, he was able to land 15 job offers from all the big companies. So doing that extra mile, doing more than what you're required in your specific field, I would say would definitely position you better. So say for example in architecture, if you just stick to AutoCAD and Revit and you think, okay, that's going to get me a job, it's not. You have to leverage the new AI tools like Vizord, which can make renders in 3 minutes. You have to learn how to use Gemini properly. If you upskill yourself for your relevant industry, I would say that is the biggest skill any person coming to Europe would need, because that's going to position you better than rest of your peers.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think before we wrap up this segment, I wanted to ask something more of a light topic. One of the biggest advantages of living in Europe is also the fact that there are no borders. If you have
Exactly.
a visa for one country, well, within Schengen, you have so many countries you can visit. So Faris, for you, of all the countries that you've visited, what would you say has been the best experience?
Well, I would say Switzerland for sure. The kind of beauty that it offers is no match for any other country. So I did a road trip to Switzerland. So it was like that's the kind of advantage. Yeah, you can just take your cars and just there's no borders. You can just explore all the countries. And another countries that really was interesting was the Scandinavian countries, where Mohammed is from, Sweden, Denmark. The kind of I would say the people are really friendly, and one of the biggest advantages that I see is that most of them speak English, which is not the case in Poland. Poland is still reaching that international exposure kind of phase. Yeah, so I would say Scandinavian countries and Switzerland for sure.
Mohammed, what about you?
Uh, Speaking about the friendly part, right? What I've seen is Scandinavian people are friendlier when they leave Scandinavia.
I see.
Okay.
So if you meet Scandinavian people outside Scandinavia, they're extremely friendly. Inside as well, they are friendly, but they mostly have friends from childhood and they keep to their circle. So it's very difficult to enter that circle. You know, it's not easy. So that's general opinion is people in Scandinavia are cold, but that's not the case. They are friendly, but it takes some time to get into their circle. But the moment they get outside Scandinavia, they just let it loose. You know, they're very friendly people because they are able to. There are a lot of extroverted Swedish people who are stuck in Sweden because other people around them are not so extroverted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regarding places I have visited, it used to be Switzerland,
Okay.
my favorite, until I went to Norway.
Oh, wow.
I like Faris said, I do a lot of road trips. I thousands of kilometers, 10,000 kilometers. I think last summer we did a road trip. Me and my wife, we uh, 9 days, 4,000 kilometers,
Whoa.
and that was just Norway. So we did
I
two
hope you
thousand.
used the Volvo car. I
Yeah,
hope.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Of course. And an electric car, by the way. Electric
Okay.
4,000 kilometers in an electric car in 9 days. We went up on top of the Arctic Circle. It's called the Lofoten Islands. It's
Mhm.
the most beautiful place in the world, and it's my second time going there in 3 years.
Wow.
Uh, it's amazing. So then coming back as well, we do camping. So we have our own camping gear. We take tents and cooking stuff and everything, and then we spend a week out in the wilderness. So Norway is my top because I like fjords. I like mountains. I like hiking. So Norway is my favorite place, and then comes Switzerland for me because Switzerland was also expensive, so I was not able to enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
The currency to fun ratio was quite high in Switzerland. You need to spend a lot more money to get that view. Norway felt much cheaper in comparison, so I felt more value in
Now,
in
for those
Norway.
of you who are looking to explore such countries, I would suggest a road trip where you actually take the groceries, a gas stove from your side, so you don't have to
Yes,
spend
for
much
sure.
on the
Yeah,
food. Then
yeah,
get a camping gears, tents. Then that way you don't have to pay for the accommodation. That way you will be able to explore countries in a
yeah,
much cheaper way. Actually,
yeah.
the kind of road trips that I did, it didn't. I mean, I did it with 9 of my friends, and it cost me somewhere between 40,000 INR. It would be surprising. 9 countries, 9 days. It was like a budget trip, but still we were able to explore most of the places and get really good experience as well. So
And
when it
it's
comes
what
to
we do
Europe,
as students as well. Yeah, like
exactly.
weekend trips, because flights sometimes the bus to the airport costs more than the flight.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
Even.
Yeah.
when I was a student as well, it was weekend trips to Prague, 20 euros flight tickets, two-way. The
Yeah.
bus to the airport cost 10 euros.
Yeah.
So that is something I loved about being here as well. Also, one thing I wanted to highlight. I was the COVID batch.
Mm.
So COVID is, if you think about industries being bad, so the market goes up and down and up and down. COVID is a crash. So nobody was hiring, nobody. So that time I thought it was the best time to study, because the market always bounces back and then you utilize that time studying for something. So it's always gonna be like that. So it's basically how you use that time. That and during COVID, Sweden was the only country that did not have masks.
Mhm.
Every other country, it was mandatory to wear masks. You had to maintain social distancing and stuff. In Sweden, people practice social distancing without COVID. So there's like a
Uh,
1.5 meter distance between people waiting for coffee.
by
So
default.
yeah,
Yeah.
by default we are social distancing.
Um,
So
Talking about
yeah,
the warmth of people, I think in Europe it's also quite common to hear that the more south you go, the more
Yes.
open, the more warmth. And for Fatima, who's living in Greece right now, must know that it gets more warm as the more south and the more Mediterranean you go.
yes, yes,
So
I think
so
I
for
can
Mebzem,
relate to
who's
that.
lived in a country exactly who lives in the north of Italy, where it's right by the Alps, and for you who may or may not have been to the south, for you, do you think that's true? But also, I do want to hear what your favorite trip was.
Talking about the warmth of people, I would 100% agree with Wasim. I've been to like 15 countries. So I would say like Spain and Italians are the friendliest people I've met. So take the example of you trying to speak their language. If you try to say something in Italian at a coffee shop, they would be insanely happy. They're like, how do you know that? That's amazing. Say it again. You say that to a French person, they would
I
be like, I know
agree.
English. Don't try.
I
ah,
agree.
Like they would cut you off on the spot. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. So in
yeah.
terms of friendliness, I don't know about the Nordic countries. Like, Mohammed said, I have a few Swedish friends. They seemed friendly, but I don't know how it is back there. So that's another
It's
thing.
Yeah, it's basically the culture. They keep to
Hmm.
themselves and they have a small circle, solid circle. Their childhood friends go all the way until their age out,
Hmm.
and people don't really leave, so they stick around, and so it's very difficult to enter that circle. I
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
have I have a lot of friends because students are generally more open to experiences. So if you do a master's in a country, you generally have more opportunities to make friends.
Hmm.
Colleagues, by on the other hand, they have their lives already established. They have their circles, they have their family, they have their kids and stuff. So still, me being an extroverted person, it's been easy to make friends, but I have a lot of friends who are not able to break into that circle. But the moment they meet people outside, everybody becomes, but
Hmm.
that generalization seems to be true so far. The more
You
south you
go,
go,
the
the
more,
more
yeah.
friendlier people are.
Uh,
Barcelona when I visited, Italy when I visited, I felt that as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I one reason I mentioned Denmark was that even the older folks they speak English, but if you go to
Yes.
in Poland, the older folks they don't speak English. So it's more
Hmm.
like
Mm.
the younger generation who speaks English more. It's like if we have to go to the district offices or, for example, the police station where we have to file a complaint. If they don't speak English, you're gonna be meaning in the end you'll be just like you don't want to file a complaint. Like, recently, I had a friend who lost his bike. It was stolen. We went to the police station to file a complaint, and since they did not speak English, they did not even like. In the end, we tried so much to communicate with them using Google Translate. I don't speak Polish, but it was difficult. In the end, we were like, okay, let the case go. We don't want to file a
Hmm.
complaint. So that's the kind of situation here with the older folks who are not much warm in Poland.
I think I would agree with that. Like even in Italy, the older folks, they don't speak English. Like people in our age group, they're pretty fluent in English.
Yeah.
But the older folks, it is difficult because in my first year, I did not know Italian. I had a small sprain on my arm, so I had to go to the hospital. And I told him, where can I go? Where's the emergency room? He's like, this is Italy, speak in Italian. He would not let me enter until I said the sentence in Italian. So that was not the best experience, but then again, it's just with the older folks. The
Yeah.
younger people are much more warm, much more friendly. But yeah, that was one scenario. And like
Yeah.
Wasim asked, the best country that I've liked in Europe, I would say from two perspectives, from, living and working would be Switzerland, because of the work-life balance, the amazing salaries and things like that. If you want to work, I would say Switzerland. But just from the living point of view, I would say the southern countries like Spain, Greece, or Italy, people are much more laid back. Like Italians, they take a break from 12 to 3 every day, like any industry. You would not find anything open from 12 to 3, be it hospitals, be it restaurants. They're like, I need my time off. Like they're much more laid back. They value their health more. Life expectancy is one of the highest in Italy. So from that perspective, Italy, Spain, or Greece, but from the working point of view, Switzerland, I guess.
Yeah. One thing I want to add about the language, like we were talking about these languages, I thought I will add this. I would say, as an advice for those who are listening, if you're planning to travel to Europe, be prepared to learn a local language, a
Yes,
foreign
for
language.
sure,
That would really make your life much, much easier.
for sure.
So when it comes to this local languages, I feel that Mohammed Mebza, maybe you can correct me. The Germanic languages, those are the most easiest. For example,
Yes.
Swedish, Dutch, Norwegian. Then I would say the second easiest ones would be French, Italian, Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Then Poland, the most Slavic languages are the most difficult ones, like
Yes, because it's
Polish,
completely different.
Czech, Hungarian, Russian. These are the most toughest languages.
Finnish is completely different.
Finnish,
Finland,
yeah,
Finnish language root, even though they belong to the Nordics, Finnish
yeah.
language is completely
It's a
different.
totally different language
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
family, also, right?
yeah,
So
yes.
German would be somewhere between the Germanic languages and the Romance languages, that is French. Somewhere between that, the difficulty would be. So that's the reason I don't speak Polish, even though like, I studied B1 level of German, but I put the kind of same effort into Polish, and it wasn't that easy for me. So I have to
Mhm.
put much more effort into that, and I feel that for the time being, that isn't worth my time, like considering the other stuff that I have to do. So that would be learning the local language would give you much advantages living in European countries.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
I would say
100%.
when considering abroad study, considering the countries, also take the difficulty of language as a criteria.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think I'm working at Volvo. It's a
Yeah.
multinational company, but majority of the people here are Swedish. My
Yeah.
team, we are 14 people now. I am the only non-Swedish person in my team.
Hmm.
So now I speak Swedish at work as well, and it helps that I know. I'm so it's made people become more friendly towards me. That's something. It's unfortunate, but it is how it is. So that is something. So whoever's planning on studying in Europe and stuff, like Faris said, be prepared to learn the language. Be prepared to do any kind of job if you need to. That don't think any job is beneath you. Working part time, making a secondary income, whatever. Uh, be prepared for the weather. That is something nobody has spoken about here. Right now it is feels like -7 where I live. Feels like -7 degrees because of the wind. It's snowing. It's cold. It gets dark during the night, especially in the Scandinavian countries. We have sunrise at 10 a.m., sunset at 2 p.m. So it's darkness. So these are the kind of stuff that I was not prepared for when I came.
Yeah,
I had read about it and stuff, but it's not. The winter depression is a real thing. So
it's
I try
true.
to go back home every December, just for 2 weeks. I survived 2 months before winter, looking forward to the sun, and I survived 2 months after winter in the memories of the sun. So it's so these are the kind of things that you need to be. This is something that you're not used to. Fresh air, extremely valuable. I had a lot of allergies growing up. I was always sneezing and stuff. Came to Europe, the clean air has helped me quite a lot in that regard. So these are the stuff that I would say. Language, be prepared to do any jobs, build yourself personally, network as much as you can. Be prepared for the weather wherever you are. You need to adapt in that regard. And I would say primarily focus on the education you are getting. Do you really want to study what you are trying to study? Are you really passionate about it? Because nothing beyond that is certain. You're making a big investment in your career, in your life, in your education. So make sure you enjoy. You will enjoy what you're going to learn for the next 1 or 2 years. After that, we see as it goes.
Perfect. I think with that we can conclude the conversation section. Thank you so much for being with us and talking to the audience. I'm sure a lot of people are inspired by your careers and your journeys to Europe. But before we wrap up, there's 3 or 4 questions that anyone among us could answer. The firstly, Fazil asks, is there or are there any common portals for Polish universities? including Fatima, if you can hear us. If you do know of it, please unmute yourself and answer.
I'm not aware of any common portal. Maybe it exists, but mostly I would say just look for the courses that you're interested in. Everything is straightforward. And go to the university's website, find the course that you're interested in, apply. Pretty straightforward. I don't think any common portal exists. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe Mehak, you can answer if you know something about that.
No, not very aware of kind of portals for these things. But I think it's better to go with public university. That's the only suggestion from my side.
Yeah, talking about the advantages of Poland, I would say that see, it's not always easy to get a scholarship. So I understand that considering Sweden, the tuition fees is much more expensive. Yeah. So suppose you don't get a scholarship, I would say that Poland would be a country that you can study, you can afford even without a scholarship. It costs somewhere between 4 to 5 lakhs for 1 year, and I would say the ROI is also good. Meaning you come here for the first year, you if you're ready to work part time, you should be able, I mean, you should have the mentality to do any kind of jobs. If you're ready to work part time, delivery jobs, anything, you can pay off your second year fees as well. So those of you who do not get a scholarship, I would advise that Poland would be the right place for you, considering the low tuition fees. Meg, I don't know if you have any other opinion on that.
Okay, for me, as I'm studying in University of Warsaw, I think we have a few scholarships for international students, which is easy to get in. For example, something like assistance grant. Also, there's something called rector scholarship, also social scholarship. So if you have a good grade for your, maybe first semester, you can get scholarship for next few semesters. So, and also I don't think they have a very, high expectation from our side. If you have a average grade, I think you will get the scholarship. Even in assistance grant, I think if there is some problem with your health, maybe I saw a line like, if you don't have a spectacle, we can apply for that particular grant. So, and they are offering around 5,500 euro, 5,500 Polish zloty. So
Thank
I
you.
think it's easy to get scholarships in University of Warsaw.
We can move to the next question, which Mohammed answered already. Are you all using paid or free versions of AI? Just to add to that, it depends on your usage criteria. So if you want, if it's just for research purposes, free AI is more than enough, I would say. But if you want to connect to APIs or have your own software running on it, then paid versions are better.
Yeah. Just one point to add to that.
Yeah.
I would say that everyone has access to free AI. So paying for an AI tool would give you access to much better intelligence, and that would also give you a competitive edge. So if you're just using everything, I mean, if you're just using a tool that everyone has access to, you don't have that kind of competitive edge. Just my thoughts here.
I would also like to add that the Google Gemini AI right now is offering one full free year of the pro version for students. So that's one thing you could look into because right now I'm using that. So at least for a year, you have the paid version for free as a student.
Yeah. And life hack, you don't actually have to be a student to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Also that.
Ajish asks, which English-speaking European countries are best choices for safety for girls, value for money for Indian students? What do you guys think?
In Europe, generally, it's the Nordic countries with respect to English speaking. I think 75% of Sweden speaks English. You don't need to know Swedish wherever you go. The bus drivers speak English, the tram drivers, the supermarkets, the groceries, the hospital, the general police speaks English. So I would say that has really helped. So English speaking European countries, I would say Nordic countries come on the top of the list. Then I'm not sure who comes next.
Adding to that, I would also suggest the Netherlands because almost all the cities in the Netherlands, they speak English, Luxembourg, in Belgium as well. But essentially, if you find yourself in a city that's pretty touristy, there's a big chance everyone speaks English there.
Yeah.
Yes. And regarding safety, I have not heard of any incidences over here. But again, I cannot speak for everyone. It's my personal circle. We have friends who are out traveling at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I find it pretty safe, is what I say. So my wife also, we never have, maybe because the place we live, we don't think too much about traveling at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So from that, you could probably understand it is safe enough. University cities are usually like that. There are students out at night and during the day as well. We don't have a lot of mobile phone pickpockets yet. There are a lot of countries in Europe where it is quite popular. In
You can name
Gothenburg,
them.
I would say Paris, Barcelona, Madrid,
Milan
Italy. I'm
is
not sure.
infamous for
Milan,
that.
Milan,
Greece.
Milan,
Milan
Milan,
is Milan and Venice.
Greece.
Venice, you can
Yeah.
hear people saying "attenzione pickpocket," which literally means "attention pickpocket," like every
Yeah.
5 minutes.
So
Yeah,
in
that's it.
Gothenburg, we don't have that yet. It's probably because it's very cold and you need to put your hand out, and with gloves it's difficult to take it out. It could be like that.
Also, the
But I don't know.
default social distancing. No one's really
Yeah, the
close to each
social
other.
distance. It's if somebody comes within 1 meter of you, you're
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah,
aware. So it's not easy. They don't brush shoulders and walk here.
Mhm.
It could be that.
yeah.
London, for example, London is pickpocketing, usual bikes and everything. So in that regard, I would say it's pretty safe here.
Mhm.
So far, nobody has an issue of safety. I hope it continues to stay that way. Like with friends who are women also, that's not something that has been raised so far. So
Yeah,
that's
I,
from what
I I
I
would
can
watch
speak from my
for
experience.
I would watch for Nordic countries as well. Like talking about Poland, I would place Poland better than all of those previous countries that we mentioned, like France, Italy, Spain, but not as safe as Nordic countries, because there are areas in Poland where uh, it's not. I wouldn't say 100% safe, but we had instances where these locals picks up fights, and
Yeah,
it turns out
it's
pretty
the
messy.
gangs.
Yeah,
It's the gangs usually. Even in Sweden, Nordic, there are gangs, but it's very gang to gang rivalry.
yeah.
As long as you don't meddle in their business, you are okay.
Mhm.
But like if you become a part of the gang, then you might get
I would say the same here in
But
UK as well. Like
yeah.
majority of Milan is safe, except for the outskirts with Egyptian and Moroccan communities. In those areas, yeah, it's risky. You never know what's gonna happen. So that's that.
So before we did start late, so just to mention the last few questions. For a student currently in grade 12, how should they plan their studies abroad for the field of physiotherapy? Anyone have any ideas about physiotherapy and their fields?
I don't have experience on physiotherapy, but physiotherapy requires mandatory that you speak the local language.
That is
And
true.
so if you're considering such courses like nursing, physiotherapy, and all of that, be prepared to like speak the local language at a really good fluency level. So in that case, I would suggest again European countries that have an easier level of local language.
Mhm.
I have experience going to a physiotherapist, and there when I spoke, I saw people who have come from US and Canada and stuff to live and work in Sweden, and they said it was around 3 to 4 years, and they have a mandatory training for 1 year where they need to have these many hours of work experience before they can graduate and stuff like that. But nobody else in my personal circle who has taken. I know of a friend who went to the US to study, but nobody in Europe.
The next question comes from Abdul. How will the large gap around 3 to 4 years in spending competitive exams like UPSC and CSC affect your chances applying for masters in engineering, especially for Erasmus Mundus? So Fatima, any?
Yeah, sure. So I think usually it does not hurt master's application, especially for Erasmus mentors, as long as it is like, very well explained. because the admission committee just want to know about your skills, your motivation, than your gaps. So maybe like the UPSC preparation actually like builds strong research, analytical as well as writing skills. So I think these are also really like very relevant for these kind of programs. So if he can, clearly show it in his SOP, then I think it's not going to be a big deal.
Thank you. So the next question will be, is halal food easy to find, and how about masjids availability near to college or workplace?
Okay, so my experience when I came 5 years back, there weren't much immigrants. But now there are like plenty of immigrants coming from more different countries. So halal is a need, and fulfilling that need, there will always come business opportunities, and there are plenty of shops that have opened up. So finding halal food is not at all a problem. And masjids as well. The place that I'm staying right now in Warsaw has 5 masjids. So yeah,
All right.
that's my
That
experience on.
is, yeah. For us in Sweden, when I came, we had a lot of immigrant population in Sweden. So there was halal food was never an issue. A lot of restaurants, different cuisines, you get halal. I was actually surprised by the quality of groceries in the Indian stores. You get everything. You get fresh karvepila, you get, everything. You get everything fresh. And that was something that I felt was very nice. You get jeeragashala rice even, to make biryani. So that's been good. Regarding masjid, we have in Gothenburg, we have Yotibori Masjid. It's sponsored by Saudi. The State Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has sponsored that masjid, and Friday Jumas are there. Apart from that, universities have Muslim student chapters. So Chalmers, Chalmers Islamic Association is what they call. Friday Jumas are held in the basketball hall. So you rent out the basketball hall for an hour, and then one of the students becomes the imam, and Juma is there. At Volvo Cars, since our office is like far away from the masjid, we do our own Juma. 50 to 60 people attend 2 meeting rooms and stuff. So that is how you have access to Ramadan. Ramadan also you have masjids, Taraweehs, Qiyam al-Layls, 2 different masjids within like 10 kilometers, 2 or 3. So it's good.
The next question comes from Mubashiruddin. How much are the required funds for master programs in general for 2-year programs in Indian currency, please? And are students allowed to work during their study if they want to save money? The second part of the question we've already answered. Yes, there are plenty of opportunities. It depends on your context and what you're looking for. And for your first question, I think it really depends on what course you want to do. So almost every course that you apply to, you can see the tuition fee for it, but also the living expenses of the country differs vastly depending on the country, which European country you want to live in. So I think it's readily available, the combined information online. Russia asks, have I done BSc in life science? I have done BSc in life sciences, 60%, which I assume is the average. Is it possible to get a master's there with this percentage? Also, is it possible to work part-time during a life science master's? Anyone have experience with life sciences?
I'm sorry, I don't.
I'm sure all the information that you would require is readily available online. It's just a matter of finding the right sources.
Just to comment, 60%, you don't need to worry.
Yes,
You
that is
you
something
don't
I
need to
can
worry.
also say that about. Yeah, 60% is not an issue.
Yeah.
Actually, if you have graduated, it's not an issue. That's what I would say for a master's in Europe. The scholarships and stuff are a different question. But as long as you have an undergraduate, you are eligible for a master's.
Someone asks, I heard that job opportunities for engineering is tight in Europe currently. What do you think about moving to like a Gulf country right after completing your master's in Europe? For which someone replied, I have an experience in both Gulf and Germany. So Lukman, if you would like to unmute yourself and keep your answer quite short as we are running out of time.
Yeah, thank you for all the inputs. I have experience in GCC, Sweden, and Germany, and most of them are aligned with my experience as well. So to keep it short, if you appreciate work-life balance and learning from others, Europe is best. If you appreciate a lot of money but not much about work-life balance, then GCC is the best. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So lastly, just a quick question. Taking MTech in computer science, which country is better for better career? Oh, that is quite a ambiguous question. Anyone have any ideas about
Maybe I can
this country?
comment about Poland. So, like I mentioned before, Poland allows you to work a full-time job while doing masters. So, what I would feel like, MTech in computer science, what matters most is the kind of job experience that you get. So, I would say you focus more on internships, on full-time job that actually does this core, uh, uh, in this core field. That would give you more value than the masters itself. So Poland giving you that opportunity to work full time, so you can find the opportunity to work in some companies while you're doing your masters, maybe some good internships that would kickstart your career at a much better pace after your graduation.
I can answer Sweden, because Stockholm is also becoming known as the Silicon Valhalla. We have billion-dollar companies out of there. We have Spotify, Truecaller, Klarna, Lovable, and then a lot of other companies that are headquarters between Stockholm and this thing. So I see, and they actually pay pretty well. Some of my friends who are working as software engineers in Stockholm is doing quite well. So yeah, I think Stockholm seems to be that AI capital, I would say. I don't know about computer science. Germany is also something booming now, because they are moving into, they're trying to have more homegrown. EU is trying to become more self-reliant, instead of importing technology.
Just to add to that, it's also very important you keep in mind that startups are very much encouraged right now in Scandinavian countries, but also in Europe in general. They want to build the next Google, Microsoft, and so on.
Trillion-dollar companies.
That concludes our Q&A session. Can I please invite Mr. Abdul Majid to offer a few words?
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening,
Walaikum
my
salam.
dear friends. It is really amazing. All of you joined. Am I audible?
Yep.
Yes.
It's really, really nice. Mazban, Fatima, Mohammed, Faris, you made the day. Okay, wonderful. Your real life experiences, your experiences is really touched us. Also, I was noted few points like you were mentioning about LinkedIn, then property assessment, echoes in property valuation, I think. Then Fatima spoke much about Erasmus Mund and your field experiences, your travel. It is really nice. And we appreciate, on behalf of CG International and Global Pathways team, I would like to express our appreciation to all of you. And I will read out the certificate of appreciation. Proudly presents to Mabzam, Fatima, Mohammed, and Faris. All of you made the program wonderful. In recognition and sincere appreciation of your valuable contributions as a speaker at the session titled Engineers Without Borders, Studying in Europe, organized by Global Pathways, an initiative by CG International held on Sunday, 25th January 2026. Your insight and experience have enriched the session and inspired aspiring students and professionals. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. And once again, I appreciate also, our Wazim. You are the man of the show, Wazim. And also Akmala, Naushad, all our Global Pathways team members done a good job to make the program. I was thinking we will get more attendance if it is on Saturday or Friday. Next program, we will make like that, inshallah. Also, now students are preparing for their final exams. That's why we got some numbers less from Middle East. And next program, we will make more reachable to students without conflicting with their exam days, inshallah. Once again, I appreciate all the team of Global Pathways. This afternoon, I visited King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals Research Center. I was had a conversation with the researcher. and our brother Dr. Jasir, he's an IITian. He was telling they are badly looking for postdocs and PhD students, but especially from our area, students are very reluctant to go for PhD. So he was badly looking for some good people having good background, and especially in chemistry and petroleum related subject. So any of your friends are looking for, I think it is a good opportunity to connect with King Fahd, the University of Petroleum and Minerals Petroleum Center. Okay, I can do my possible support. Anybody looking from your area for this type of career. Okay, with these words, I would like to conclude my appreciation note, and we look forward to the next session. Akmala, Wasim, Naushad, and all our brothers and sister Fatima, congratulations. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you so much for your wise words. Before we end it, to everyone watching, we will be having the stream uploaded on YouTube. You can find it on the top right of your Zoom, that it's a live stream. You can find the videos there. Fatima hopefully will be uploading the slides onto our group chat, for which the link will be sent on the group. But also, finally, thank you for everyone listening, and also for everyone that joined.